What's up, everybody? It's JT Sports back to you guys with another video, and I'm here with my Miami Hurricanes 2019 college football record prediction. I'm going to be going week by week predicting the Miami Hurricanes 2019 college football wins and their losses. And a lot of people wanted me to do my college football predictions now. They didn't want me to wait any longer. So here I am doing them, starting off this series with the Miami Hurricanes. And the Miami Hurricanes, a lot of optimism going into this season. Hired a new coach and Manny Diaz, who should be a very big upgrade over Mark Rick, who all he did was call the same plays, run, play action. So a lot of optimism going into this season. And not just because of the coach, but how easy the schedule is. I mean, the most talented team the Miami Hurricanes play are the Florida Gators, which is going to be their first game of the season, week 0, which they play Florida at a neutral site game in Orlando. So that's going to be a very interesting matchup there. Miami, I think a lot of people aren't going to give Miami the credit they deserve just because, how bad last season went for the Miami Hurricanes. When you look at this roster, this is definitely the second most talented roster in all of the ACC. So Miami fans would say that, anything less than 10 wins would be a disappointment. But I think, to be honest, as long as the Miami Hurricanes make it to the ACC championship game and manage to win the Coastal, I think that would be a pretty good season. Now, of course, if they do it the way Pittsburgh did it, then of course that would be a disappointment. But I think Miami winning 8 games wouldn't be a disappointment as long as they make it to the ACC championship game and win the Coastal. I think that would be a pretty good season for Miami and a building stone. So week 0, they're playing the Florida Gators, neutral site game. A lot of people think Florida is going to win this game, and I think a lot of people are actually sleeping on Miami in this matchup, and the reason why is because people are going. I think the reason why people are so high on Florida winning this game is because of how good of a season Florida had last year, and how Miami's season went last season. But overall, when you look at these rosters, these teams are pretty much evenly matched. I mean, when you look at the quarterback position, Florida has the upper hand there because Felipe and Dan Mullen. Felipe was very good with Dan Mullen, who is the quarterback whisperer, has developed quarterbacks like Dak Prescott, Alex Smith, got Tim Tebow into the NFL some way, somehow. So he's very good with quarterbacks. I think Felipe is going to be very good. And N'Kosi Perry, who I'm predicting to be the starter for the Miami Hurricanes, was held back by Mark Rick, but I feel whoever is going to be the starting quarterback for Miami should be pretty solid. But Florida has the upper hand. The offensive lines are pretty much the same. Both Florida and Miami don't even know who's going to be starting for them going into that game. Then the defensive lines are pretty evenly matched. A lot of talent there. The linebacking core, Miami has the upper hand on that. And then when we go to the secondary, Florida has the upper hand there with probably the best cornerback tandem in the nation with Marco Wilson and CJ Henderson. And then when we look at the wide receivers, which I forgot about, pretty much evenly matched there. A lot of NFL talent when it comes to Florida and Miami there. Miami having Jeff Thomas and KJ Osborne, and Florida having some good guys on their receiving core as well. So the team that I'm going with to win that matchup are the Miami Hurricanes. I think Miami is going to be able to shock the world, and they're going to put the world on notice. They're going to shock the college football landscape. This is going to be a big upset, even though I don't really think this should be a big upset to a lot of people because a lot of people are just looking at Miami Hurricanes last season. But overall, this is a very talented football team, and they can very well beat Florida. And I just think Miami, they're going to come out here. They're going to be the underdogs. Manny Diaz, he's going to make sure that the Miami Hurricanes embrace that underdog mentality, and they're going to smack Florida in the mouth. And Florida Gators fans are going to get humbled with this loss here. So Miami is going to win this game, week 0 of the college football season. Then the next matchup for the Miami Hurricanes, they go on the road and face North Carolina. North Carolina, they hired Mac Brown, which a lot of Tar Heel fans are very optimistic about the Tar Heels this season. But when you just look at the Tar Heels roster, I don't think they have enough to beat the Miami Hurricanes. So I'm going to give them a loss there. I think it stays a little bit competitive for the first half, but after halftime in the second half, Miami, they're just going to find a way to pull away. The third matchup of the season for the Miami Hurricanes, they're facing Bethune-Cookman. Miami basically gets paid, or I think Miami pays Bethune-Cookman every year, or I don't know how that goes. Somebody explain to me in the comment section down below how that goes. But one of the schools pay each other to play each other, and Miami just beats the crap out of Bethune-Cookman every year. You already know that's going to be automatic W right there. That's going to be a good chance to, get the backup some playing time there. Then next week, we're back at home still, second straight home game playing Central Michigan. Central Michigan, I don't know what their roster is looking like, but it doesn't matter how their roster is looking like because there's no way that they beat the Miami Hurricanes, and that's going to be a blowout there. So Miami, 4-0, going into their second ACC game, which is a very key game in Virginia Tech because a lot of people, Virginia Tech lost a lot of talent. They still have some talent on that roster, but I'm going to go with the Miami Hurricanes. It's going to be at home. Virginia Tech, I just don't think they have enough talent to match up with the Miami Hurricanes. And Miami Hurricanes, they're just going to get the better of Virginia Tech. I think it's going to be a closer game than what people expect. But I think my Hurricanes are going to be able to pull off the victory there. So 5-0. Now, I think probably the second hardest conference game that the Miami Hurricanes have, other than Florida State, is Virginia. I think the Virginia Cavaliers with Bronco Mendenhall and Bryce Perkins, they're going to be this year's Kentucky team because we already know how last year's Kentucky team, how good they were. A lot of players they had were upperclassmen, seniors that had a lot of development over the last couple of seasons. And Virginia is a very talented team. A lot of people are high on Virginia. Virginia could very much win this game. I believe Miami is the more talented team, but I just think Virginia, they're going to pull up the upset. I think the reason why they win this game is because I think they're better up front. They have a better offensive line than what Miami has, and I think their defense is going to be very, very good. And they're going to be able to pull off the upset. So this is the first loss that the Miami Hurricanes take this season. And it's not a loss that anybody should be down in the comment section talking about you really have us losing to Virginia because Virginia is a very good team. They're very improved, and they're going to be what last year's Kentucky team was. They're going to be a very good team. Next, they go on the road to face Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, they're finally going away from that triple option offense. And it's going to be very weird to see Georgia Tech actually in the shotgun, not doing a lot of triple option stuff, underneath center, taking some snaps underneath center, drop back passes. And it's just weird because Georgia Tech has been running this triple option offense for as long as I can remember. So it's just going to be weird. Georgia Tech is going to lose this game. Miami should win this game because, Georgia Tech, when you look at the players that Georgia Tech recruited, they recruited players to play in that triple option offense. And it's just the amount of the players, they're going to be transitioning into a new scheme, a new offense. So, Miami should be able to win that matchup. Then they play Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh. This is always a very, to Miami fans, this game means a lot to us considering the fact how Pittsburgh dethroned our almost perfect season a couple of years ago. And I mean, if you remember that game, Pittsburgh just shocked the whole college football world. That was supposed to be a very easy victory for the Miami Hurricanes. That's supposed to be a victory that Miami walks in, blows them out, get the starters in, you know, have them get arrested in the third and fourth quarter, let the backup guys get some PT and stuff like that. But no, Pittsburgh came and they smacked Miami in the mouth. And that pretty much ended a very phenomenal season for Miami. And that's why this game is always personal. Miami is going to win this matchup. Pittsburgh, I don't think they have enough talent to compete, and I think their quarterback is going to hold them back. I was very high on their quarterback, but a lot of Pittsburgh fans say that they should change from him and start another quarterback, and I think Miami is going to be able to take advantage of that. I think Pittsburgh has a very good running back. a very good running back core, but I just think Miami is the way better team. And if Pittsburgh finds a way to beat Miami, I might drink bleach. Now, this is the last quality opponent that the Miami Hurricanes face for the rest of the year. Florida State, this is a rivalry game. Miami has beaten Florida State the last 2 seasons. Obviously, we remember that 2017 game. Noodle arm Malik Rozier beat Florida State. Last season, Miami came back down by, I forgot how many points it was down, but it was a very, very great performance by the Miami Hurricanes defensive line, who just absolutely, after the second half, dominated Florida State up front. Florida State's offensive line was getting manhandled up front by Miami's defensive line, and that's how Miami started coming back. Then N'Kosi Perry threw that touchdown to Brevin Jordan. It was a very exciting matchup. Almost made me have a heart attack as a Miami Hurricanes fan, but Florida State should be a lot better than what they were last season. You know, they hired the offensive coordinator and Kendall Briles, who is a very good offensive mind. And Florida State's going to be very improved. But overall, Miami should win this matchup. I think they are the more talented team than Florida State. And obviously, when you go into these rivalry games, you just can't rely strictly on talent. You know, rivalry games are always going to be a lot closer than what they look like on paper most of the time, unless you're like an Alabama LSU. And even that game last season was fairly close until Alabama broke it wide open after the second half. But this game is going to be a lot closer than what it looks like on paper. But Miami should be able to win this game, considering how better they are than Florida State. And I think Florida State's offensive line is a lot worse than what Miami's offensive line is. Then the last 3 games, pretty much cakewalks. Louisville, Miami's going to win this game, but I wouldn't take this game lightly. I wouldn't look at it as an automatic victory, like it's going to be a big lot or something like that. I think Louisville puts up a chance because they have the upset master, the former Appalachian State coach. If you remember how good those Appalachian State teams have been the last couple of seasons, they have put up some big upsets over the last couple of seasons. That's why I say their head coach is the upset master. But I just don't think Louisville has enough talent to compete for a whole entire game with Miami. I think they keep it competitive for the first half, but then after that, Miami should pull away. Next up, they close out the season on the road. They play Florida International University, who actually has a good chance of being one of the better Group of Five teams coming into this season. I really like what they look like as a team. I think they have a very good roster as well, but not a good roster to compete with the big boys such as the Miami Hurricanes. I don't think that game will be a blowout. Miami should put up 40, but FIU, I wouldn't be surprised if they put up 20 points on Miami. And then lastly, last game of the season for Miami before they end up playing Clemson in the ACC championship game will be against Duke. Duke doesn't have a Daniel Jones. I don't even know who Duke's starting quarterback is going to be, but I do know one thing. It should be no way in this earth that Duke should be beating Miami this season. If that happens, I'm going to drink bleach. No way that should happen. Miami should beat Duke. The game might be a little bit closer than what people may expect, but Miami no way should be losing to Duke. So the overall record that I have for the Miami Hurricanes this season is 11-1. So Miami, when you look at this schedule, I mean, all the toughest games Miami plays that you can say could be losses is probably Florida and Virginia, maybe Florida State, but I just can't see Florida State beating Miami this year. So basically, a lot of people, I can't see nobody saying no lower than 10-2, 9-3, maybe. But Miami has a very favorable schedule. Other than Florida and Virginia, nobody else should really be giving Miami a big challenge. And of course, Florida State, that is a rivalry game. But 11-1 seems like a pretty reasonable prediction to me. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and content. And thanks for watching.